90% of the students study calculus wrong. And this is something I realized once I entered college. So many of you out there are afraid of calculus. And frankly, there's only one reason for it. Most of you fear calculus because you have not been taught the right way to understand and solve these questions. Once you understand the ways you understand each chapter and solve each calculus question by creating mental roadmaps, your life becomes easy. How do I know this? It's because this has worked for so many of my students and I know it will work for you as well. Let's not waste any time. Let's get going. First, if I were designing your syllabus for a math similar to how I did for the concept clarity coursework, I would do it like this. We'll start off with relations and functions, then we'll go for limits, then we go for continuity, then we go for differentiability, and then we go for integrability. And finally, we look into the applications of integrability and differentiability. This is step 1 of understanding your chapters. Step 2 is similar to climbing your stairs. With each and every step, you build upon the knowledge that you have previously gained. Without understanding relations, you can't understand functions. Without understanding functions, you can't understand limit. Without limits, you don't understand continuity, and then you don't understand differentiability. So if you want to start understanding differentiability and integrability, you better study functions and then limits, without which your calculus will be incomplete. It does not matter how your syllabus is structured. Whether you'll be doing limits after you have learned differentiability in physics, nope, does not matter. First you learn functions, then you learn limits, and then you look into differentiability and integrability, because that is the prerequisite knowledge you require to understand calculus. Now I want to ask you some questions. What do we mean by a limit of a function? How does the limit help us understand differentiability? What does a differential or derivative imply? These are basic questions which frankly are never answered. So your job is to get these answers. This helps you build your understanding of calculus. To get those answers, you create as many questions as possible, create your whys and hows, and get them answered, similar to how we have been doing all this while using the printable that I have linked in the description. Now, how do we solve a calculus question? The framework is extremely simple. First, you read the question. Without reading the question, you will not understand anything that goes on. Frankly, the question itself has so much that you actually need to know. Just reading the question will give you an idea of what all you need to learn and apply. And the question usually has those functions given in a very typical form that you'll be able to identify the more and more you keep on getting across those questions. The best part about calculus, it has beautiful algebraic properties. You can break down this operation of doing a differential or calculating an integral over a sum or a difference. So when you have a very complicated function, simple thing you should do is break that function down into smaller and smaller pieces, and pieces over either a sum or a difference. You can maybe club some terms together. You can use substitution to convert some typically present forms in that function to a simpler manner so that you're able to apply your operations. You may even split the fraction if required. These are methods that you can do to then easily apply your typical method of differentiability and integrability. You can calculate your derivatives and integrals extremely easily. You know how you can split the derivative across a sum or a difference, and you also know the u-v rules and u by v rules. This makes life easy. The only way to intuitively be able to solve these kind of questions is by practice and practice only. Now you've identified the type of question. You know how you're going to split the function. Now you create a mental roadmap of how you're going to solve those questions. So once you have a mental roadmap, you have an idea of what you need to know to solve those questions. It's like a lab report. The aim is given in the question. The roadmap is your procedure. When you solve it, you have your observations and conclusions. After that, it's solving time. Simply to summarize, first, you understand what is calculus all about. Secondly, whenever you solve questions, read the questions, simplify the functions, and create mental roadmaps. And finally, you solve. This is a very simple way of going about any calculus question or any calculus concept. If you want me to make an extremely detailed course similar to how I'm doing the concept clarity coursework, let me know in the comments and we'll work on it very soon. However, this is not it when it comes to JEE. you need to also have an extremely good hold on your chemistry, for which you have this ready for you. Have a look, and I am sure you'll be able to get your math as well as your chemistry up to improve your JEE marks. With this, thank you and happy learning.